Pili and Fimbriae. This session is going to look at uh, certain appendages that are observed associated with bacteria. One of the appendages that one is familiar with is flagella, and along with flagella, there are other appendages which are pili and fimbriae. This beautiful confocal microscopic picture of the bacteria shows that these short appendages that one observes on the surface of the bacteria are what are termed as pili and fimbriae. When you compare it with flagella, you can immediately observe that the length of the filament or the length of the appendages vary. Both pili and fimbriae are much shorter than the flagella. However, there are observations that select pillas can extend to a size which can be equivalent to the size of the bacteria per se. So the length of the pillas can vary depending on its functionalities. However, majorly it is found as short appendages all through the surface of the bacteria. So they are considered to be peritrichous in nature. Now, what is the outcome of this session going to be? One, that pili and fimbriae as terminologies are used interchangeably, that some people use pili, the word pili, only for specialized sex pili. So they are used only for, or they're reserved only for the functionality of it being acting as a sex pili. And all other pili are named as fimbriae, whereas there are other uh, um, uh, people that suggest the use of fimbriae only for a certain type of pili. So therefore, pili and fimbriae are mostly used interchangeably by different scientists across the world, but both are fine appendages that are present on the surface of the bacteria, as we just saw in the confocal microscopic picture. What we will also understand is the basic architecture of the pillars by looking at one or two examples of pili. That there is a rotatory movement associated with the pillars, and so effectively pillars has a molecular mechanism, or it can act as a molecular motor. One will definitely be able to comprehend the different functions of pillars and fimbriae. So now let us first ask the question, why does a bacteria need a pili or fimbriae in the first place? One has already observed that flagella is needed for motility. So it is needed for adhesion. It is needed for sensing a particular environment. It is needed for virulence. If flagella are already present on the surface of the bacteria, why does a bacteria need pili or fimbriae? So we will just take one example to look at what are the implications of the bacteria having pili and fimbriae. So let us look at another image. This is again a microscopic image, a scanning microscopic image, where one is able to distinctively see two different microbes. What one observes in red is the Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and what one observes in green is the Streptococcus epidermis. Now, sorry for the pronunciation. So now what is basically clear is that uh, these bacteria, that is the two bacteria together, are present as a community. So they are building what is called as a community and learning to live with each other, or learning to interact with each other. Now, therefore, such a kind of situation or such a kind of observation talks about what is called as biofilm formation. So this together, that is the Pseudomonas and the Streptococcus together, are forming a film on a particular surface. So the film that is made can be comprising a single microbe, or it can be, like in this situation, be comprising more than one microbe. So it can either be polymicrobial or it can be that of a single microbe. So, as a biofilm, what is clearly observed is that it can be formed on a variety of surfaces, which means that the surfaces can vary anywhere from household articles to, say, for example, industrial pipes or industrial instruments, or, say, for example, contact lenses, or even organs of animals and plants. So the surfaces can be any, which means that the formation of the biofilms can be practically on various different surfaces. And this they are able to do so by forming communities. Now, what is the advantage of the bacteria to be present as a community? Like, for example, we as humans are existing or have different communities. So what is the advantage? So when one person is present in a community, the person is always reassured of help in one way or the other, a kind of support, a kind of belonging. So this feeling of being together for a certain purpose comes up in communities, and bacteria also have this essential characteristic of forming communities. So how does it help the bacteria to exist as communities? Well, of course, sharing of different resources is something that helps, or something that is seen in communities. So, for example, various different substrates are being used or shared by the different bacteria. Or, for example, one bacteria produces a product from a substrate, and that product becomes a substrate for another bacteria. So, therefore, together they kind of share the resources, including genetic material is shared between two different types of bacteria. So exchange of genetic material is also something that is observed in these communities. So thereby, the sharing of the genetic material ensures that the characteristic associated with the genetic material is present or is attributed to uh, the different bacteria being able to face a certain condition or face a certain environment. So effectively, they are able to support each other if they are part of a community, and they're also able to fend off any toxicity or basically protect themselves from different systems. So, for example, the Pseudomonas aeruginosa and the Streptococcus epidermidis together may have caused an infection, and as a group, as a community, they are able to evade the immune system of the host. So therefore, the infection can spread faster because they are colonized together. Where the individual cells, then they may not be able to evade the immune system. However, because they are present as a group, together they are able to evade the immune system. So these three basically allow the bacteria in the communities to survive and grow in complex ecologies, to actually face environmental changes, or rather, you could call it challenges, to survive with other bacteria, to protect from host defenses, as one observed in this case. So, in all this, where we understand that this is a particular phenomenon, that is, biofilm formation is a particular phenomenon that is associated with bacteria, and it helps the bacteria to allow sustenance under different conditions. In all this, where does the pili or the fimbriae come up? So what has been observed is that one of the major functions or one of the major characteristics of the pili are in the ability to adhere to surfaces or interact with each other. So they're able to connect with each other. So the surfaces of two bacteria can actually contact. Okay, the surfaces of the bacteria can actually adhere to surfaces to other surfaces. Could be anything, could be polythene, could be aluminum, could be or organic compounds, could be organic material, could be cells, to anything, to other cells, to anything. It can basically help adherence. So this is one important characteristic of the pili or the fimbriae. Second important characteristic of the pili and fimbriae has been again associated with what we associate even flagella with, and that is motility. So because it has the characteristic of motility, the bacteria are able to move towards a particular environment or move away from a particular environment or move to interact with another bacteria or move to interact with another surface. So yes, they can adhere, but they can move to adhere to a particular surface. So the motility also helps the bacteria to basically form a community or colonize. Another important facet that we all already observed is that they are able to exchange genetic material. Now, how is this significant? So, for example, suppose there is a bacteria that is resistant to a particular antibiotic. Now, if that resistance is attributed to a gene that is present in a plasmid, so if that bacteria that has the plasmid resistant for a particular antibiotic, the bacteria, if it transfers a copy of that gene into another bacteria, then what is happening is that the other bacteria also becomes resistant to the antibiotic. So effectively, due to the exchange of genetic material, what happens is that the entire population of bacteria can become resistant to a particular antibiotic, and thereby what happens is that the biofilm or the community is able to protect itself from antibiotics. So, due to the presence of the resistance gene in one bacteria and that bacteria sharing it with the other bacteria enables the entire polymicrobial population to become resistant to the antibiotic. So as a community, it has benefited the entire bacterial population, and that exchange of genetic material has been attributed to the pili or fimbriae. So these three major characteristics that is associated with pili or fimbriae has enabled, for example, the formation of this biofilm formation or the formation of this community, and thereby having enabled the bacteria to survive and grow in complex ecologies or face environmental challenges or survive with other bacteria. So all these are attributed because of these characteristics. Now, these different characteristics can be further attributed to different types of pili. So, say for example, you specifically have type 4A pili associated with motility, or you may have what is called as a conjugative pili associated with exchange of genetic material, or you may have adhesive or adhesion pili or attachment pili that is associated with adherence. So different types of pili can exist, and those different types of pili can contribute to the different functionalities of pili and fimbriae in general. Now let us move on to say understand a basic structure of type 4 Apellas with the idea that one would able to understand the architecture, the basic architecture of any pillas, whether it is the type 4 Apellas or whether it is the conjugative pillas or whether it is the attachment pillas. The basic architecture will remain the same with, of course, some certain specific differences in the types of proteins that is associated or the composition per se. So this particular structure has been taken from PDB 101, and PDB 101 in 2017 had called the entire pillas machinery as molecule of the month. So when they understood the architecture of the basic pillar structure, this is basically the type 4A pillars. One important facet that comes across is that the entire architecture of the type 4A pillars is spanning the outer envelope of the bacteria. What is shown over here is definitely gram-negative bacteria, because the envelope of the gram-negative bacteria comprises an inner membrane followed by a periplasmic space. Within the periplasmic space is a thin layer of peptidoglycan, and uh, over the peptidoglycan layer is another outer membrane, and this outer membrane is made up of lipopolysaccharides. So therefore, the structure basically is a type 4a pilus that is present on a gram-negative bacteria. Now, as very clearly observed, there are typical ring structures that are present, and this reminds one of the structure of the flagella. So these typical ring-like structures help the entire machine to associate with the envelope. So you have this ring that is present that associates with the inner membrane, and of course this cage-like structure also is helping traverse the inner ring with the ring that associates with the peptidoglycan, which in turn associates with this ring that is associated with the outer membrane, and you have a collar that is bound to the outer membrane. So this collar is basically allowing the pilus. So the central stalk that you observe over here is actually the pilus. And this pilus is able to move across the membrane thanks to all these ancillary proteins that make up the entire machine. What is also interesting is that at the base of the pilus, you will find a motor. And this motor that is there, what is there in red, and this motor that is there is actually having also a switch. So the same, again, this reminds of a structure which is very similar to flagella, which also had a MS ring, that is a motor and switch ring. Similarly, for the pilus also, for the type 4a pilus, you have the motor and the switch ring present. Now, what is important is that the tip of the pilus helps in adhering to the surfaces, and what is understood in terms of the motility, or because we understand that type 4a pilus is associated with motility and it has a motor present, so the movement of the motor seems to extend the pilus out. So what happens is the pilamen the pilus increases in its extension, or it extends out, and that extending out with the tip having adhesion or molecules that are responsible for adhesion. So these special adhesive proteins that are present on the tip help the pilus to attach to surfaces. But what can happen is what has extended can reel back or can retract back. So let's say, for example, this pilus extends out, and on extending out, the tip of the pilus binds to the surface of another bacteria. So we have this bacteria which has the pilus structure, and the pilus tip is associating with the surface of another bacteria. So the attachment of this bacteria to the other bacteria is thanks to the pilus. Now, this, because it had extended, it was able to attach to the surface of the bacteria which is present over here. However, when this entire pilus structure retracts, or when it reels back, and since it is already attached to the surface of the other bacteria, what is going to happen? Because of the retraction, this membrane will go closer to the bacteria. So this retraction is going to bring that bacteria closer to this bacteria. So you can see that this bacteria has moved, and so has the other bacteria because of the pilus, which means that what we can understand is that along with the structures that help the pilus to hold on to the membrane of the bacteria is present a powerful molecular motor that is able to drag an entire cell, which means that we can comprehend how powerful the motor of the pilus is. Now, therefore, the understanding is that if you look at or try to understand what is actually the entire pilus made up of, the entire pilus is made up of individual proteins which are called as pilin. These pilin, okay, they arrange themselves such a way that they form a kind of helical structure. So you can see this is one pilus, the other pilus, you can see another pilus, the third pilus, fourth pilus. So they keep assembling one over the other to form the entire pilus structure, and it gives a typical helical structure. Where does this pilin come in from? The pyelin comes in from the cytoplasm of the bacteria where the pyelin are formed, and through this secretory or export complex, you have the pyelin going out and assembling over here. So this red portion that you see is basically pill C, and the pill C, pyelin C basically, and the pyelin C is part of the motor. Now this pyelin C, the architecture is such that it forms a small cavity, or it forms a cup, and in that cup it holds the filament. So this is basically the pilus filament that is there. So the cup of the motor is holding the filament. Now the importance is that when the motor moves or when the motor rotates, so the force with which the motor rotates helps the pill C to push one pyelin. So if you consider this is one pyelin, this movement will push this pyelin up. As this pyelin moves up, from inside another pyelin takes up its position. So effectively what happens is, because of the movement of the motor, you have the pilus structure extending. So you can understand how dynamic this portion is. That is, you would have new pylons coming and forming the end of the filament, while this pylon is moving up. Therefore, this pylon will move one step up. That way, every pylon will move one step up, and this entire structure has gone further out of the cell. So therefore, this pilus has extended. Now, say for example, the switch changes to change the direction. So right now, the movement of the motor was this. Due to the switch getting activated, suppose the rotation goes in the other direction. So with the change in the direction of the motor, what will happen is that this pilus that is forming the end of the entire pilus, this pylon will now go inside and this pylon will take its place. So what is happening now is that this filament is moving inwards, or it is moving towards the cytoplasmic side. So therefore one calls this as reeling back, or one calls this as getting retracted back. So what happened is the pilus extended and then it has retracted. Why does that happen? Because of the motor. When it moves in one direction, the pilus is getting extended, but when it moves in the other direction, the pilus is getting retracted. So therefore, there is a motility of extension and retraction that the pilus can carry out. If you look at the individual pylon, one very clearly observes that the pylon has a globular head, and this globular head has several amino acids that are hydrophilic in nature, while the tail portion is hydrophobic. So the cup of the pile C seems to have a lot of hydrophobic amino acids that can interact with the hydrophobic tail. So therefore, effectively polymerization can happen because of the tails of the pylon interacting with each other. So the hydrophobicity allows it to interact. And also what happens is that the tails remain within the pilus structure while the globular heads are present towards the outside, as it can then face the hydrophilic environment or the aqueous environment that is present. We all know that bacteria have to survive in an aqueous environment, and if the pilus has to function, it has to be able to interact with the aqueous environment. So the globular heads of the pylon help the pilus to actually interact with the aqueous environment. And also the hydrophobic interactions stabilizes the filament. So thereby the structure of the pylon is actually interestingly contributing to the entire group of pylons coming together to form one pilus. Now let us understand the twitching motion that is associated with the type 4a pilus. Now, a study that has shown is actually talking about the entire molecular mechanism, which we are not going to go into, but we will just understand the overall twitching motion. So as one can observe, this is the bacteria and these are the villi that have been extended. The extended villi through the tip is able to adhere to the surface. It's not necessary that always the tip has to adhere. There are adhesins present all along which can also interact with the surface, but essentially the pilus, the extended pilus is able to attach to the surface. On attaching to the surface, this is the extended form, and suddenly it retracts. We know that the retraction is because of the change in the direction of the motor. So due to the retraction, what happens is that the bacteria which was positioned here has now moved. So you can see a bacteria that was present over here, because of the retraction of the pilus, has moved. Therefore, this is called as the crawling movement because of the twitching. Why is it called twitch? Because you have the pilus in an extended form and then it suddenly becomes retracted. So therefore that movement from an extension to a retraction is what is termed as twitching. So therefore this has moved from here to here. Now what can happen is that this can again get further extended, attach over here, correct? That can get retracted, so the bacteria will move one step further. So you can effectively see that the bacteria is crawling on the surface. This surface could be anything. It could be a polymer, or it could be the surface of a organ, or it could be just a plastic, or it could be just any aluminum surface, whatever, but the surface can vary, but the adherence of the pili and the movement of the motor has helped the twitching motion of the bacteria. Suppose you consider this bacteria standing vertical, then it is also called as walking. Here, because it is present as a horizontal form or in the horizontal form, it is termed as crawling, but if this is present as a vertical form, then it is also called as walking. So you can see that based on where the pilus is adhering, the direction of the movement is decided. So when the type 4 pili associates with the surface, okay, this association of the type 4 pili with the surface actually decides the direction in which the motion is going to take place. So this is what one understands by twitching motion, and the twitching motion of bacteria is associated not with flagella, it is associated with pili or fimbriae for that matter. Now let us go to the conjugative pili. So the conjugative pili is responsible for exchange of genetic material. And this particular picture is already showing that the conjugative pili is associated with what terms as a sex pilus or what is termed as a conjugation pilus. And you can see how far the pilus can get extended. The size of this pilus is longer than the bacteria itself. So you can see how long the pilus has become. And this is definitely a specialized sex pilus. So the length of the pilus can be greater than the, definitely greater than the fimbriae, but it can also be greater than the flagella. So it can extend to more than 20 micrometers. On an average, however, the size of the pili is anywhere from 2 nanometers to 11 nanometers. So they are short appendages, but when required, they can extend and form a very long filament as well. To understand what is conjugation or how conjugation happens because of the conjugative pili, consider you have a cell which has a plasmid which is called as F factor. So it is observed that the function of the sex pili has been associated in a lot of bacteria with what is termed as F plasmid. But there are studies that have also shown that several sex pili are also associated with the genomic DNA of bacteria. But most are found to be associated with the F plasmid, which is also called as the fertility factor. Now this bacteria is able to form the sex pili thanks to genes present in the F factor. The pilus per se is able to, or the pili per se are able to extend and attach to a recipient cell. Now, what is important over here is that the recipient cell is generally a cell that does not have the F factor. So it is observed that, and this interaction is considered to be mating. Therefore, it is called as a sex pili. Now, the interesting fact is that a cell or a bacterial cell which has the F plasmid can interact with a cell that does not have an F plasmid. So those cells that have an F plasmid are referred to as the F plus donor cell, and those cells that do not have the F plasmid are referred to as F minus recipient cell. So the pilus that has been extended makes an interaction with a recipient cell. So at this point of time, the pilus is in an extended form. When this pilus retracts, what is going to happen is that the two bacteria will come very close to each other and in fact form a kind of contact. Now, on forming the contact, the sex pili also has what is called as tragenes that help in formation of a conjugation bridge over here. This conjugation tube that is there allows the copy of the plasmid to be transferred to the cell that does not have a F plasmid. So one can see that this plasmid replicates to form a copy and the copy is transferred to the recipient cell. Eventuality is that after conjugation, both these cells have become F plus cells, which means that now this cell, which did not have the sex pili, is able to form the sex pili. And now even this cell can adhere or attach to another F minus cell and transfer the copy of the plasmid to the F minus cell. And so what happens is that over a period of time, a lot of F minus cells will become F plus cells. So each of them will have now the characteristic of being able to carry out conjugation. How does that help? It helps because if there are other genes that are giving special characteristics to this cell, then the exchange of the genetic material to this cell allows this cell also to get that added characteristic. So the pili therefore are engaged in the process of what is called as horizontal gene transfer, that is from one cell to another cell, and this means of gene exchange has been used even as a tool in recombinant DNA technology. The implication is empowering the community with the characteristics that help survive in specific conditions. So for example, suppose this is Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and this Pseudomonas has genes that enable it to use oil as a carbon source or hydrocarbons as a carbon source. So therefore, this bacteria can survive in a condition where only oil is present, which means that this is a special characteristic for this cell. Suppose there's a Pseudomonas that does not have that plasmid, and hence this Pseudomonas will not be able to utilize the carbon source. But when this Pseudomonas transfers the conjugative plasmid to this Pseudomonas, even this Pseudomonas will now be able to survive in an environment where oil is the only source of food. So you can see how the community will build to actually be able to survive on the hydrocarbon or the oil. So that is the implication of exchange of genetic material. Now we come to Fimbriae. So most Fimbriae are referred to as attachment pili. So as we can see that they are interchangeable in name, but many have attributed Fimbriae to be the attachment pili, and this pili is a type 1 pili. A study carried out shows that single cells can also adhere to surfaces, and the adherence of the single cells can be because of charge interaction, or it can also be because of molecules present that help in associating with the interfacial water. But the most characteristic attachment and the strong attachment that has been observed that a single cell can make with the surface is because of the pili that is present. Interestingly, these pili have at the tip what is called as adhesins. Okay, but the adhesins are present not just at the tip but all across the pillars is present the adhesins, and that enables the pillar to attach itself to the surface. Now these are present, so the fimbriae are present on both gram negative and gram positive bacteria, more so in gram negative. Lots of studies have shown that almost a large population of gram-negative bacteria have fimbriae, and it is much less comparatively or relatively in the gram-positive bacteria, but not that gram-positive bacteria do not have fimbriae. Even gram-positive bacteria have fimbriae. Interestingly, what is observed is that the cells can also have adhesins present on the surface, that is the cell wall itself. So once the pilus makes the first attachment, then what is observed is to make a very strong attachment, even these adhesions are able to interact. So what is observed is the flagella, the pilus, and the adhesion molecules that are present on the surface of the bacteria all together coordinate to have a cell interact with a surface. So one cannot just have adhesion only with the pilus or only with the flagella, but you can see that the flagella makes the first contact, then the contact is established further by the pilus, whether it is in the curly form or in the thick rod form, and then it is further strengthened by the adhesion molecules that are present on the surface. And each interaction of the bacteria through these is making the interaction more closer. So it comes more and more closer to the surface or to another bacteria for that matter. So this is very interesting that these fimbriae contain what is called as proteins called as adhesins, and this adhesins therefore help the bacteria to withstand various forces. So if there is a gush of a certain force, the ability of the pilus to attach to a surface helps the bacteria to sustain that force that has come by. It helps the bacteria to move towards surfaces where more nutrients are present. It helps the bacteria to gain the property of virulence and thereby pathogenesis. So because it has the ability to attach to the surface of an organ or attach to the plant surface or attach to another surface, it is able to actually establish a attachment, and because it is able to establish an attachment with the host organ, it is able to cause the first infection step by interacting with the surface of the host, and thereby it can either form biofilms or it can secrete toxins into the host cell. Anything is possible, but that attachment makes this bacteria virulent. So let's look at the major functions that are attributed to pili and fimbriae. One definitely knows that motility is one of the major functions associated with the pili. It is because it has the molecular motor. That molecular motor enables what is called as the twitching movement, or what is called as the extension of the pilus and the retraction of the pilus. So that enables the bacteria either to attach to surfaces or to come close to other bacteria, etc. Adhesion, again, a property. So movement is making the bacteria move towards a particular surface, but it can only move. However, to make a contact, it has to adhere. And therefore, the tips of the pili or the entire pilus, for example, has adhesins that allow it to attach to the surface, and therefore the attachment or the interaction that the bacteria can make is thanks to the pili and the fimbriae. Because it can attach, it can cause virulence. Please do understand one other thing is that when you have one bacteria attaching to another bacteria, which attaches to the other bacteria, you can see that it is forming a community. And as a community supporting each other, they are also able to evade an immune system. They're able to protect themselves from harsh, toxic antimicrobials, say for example. So together, because of adhesion and because moving towards each other, they are able to enhance pathogenicity or enhance the ability to cause harm to a particular organ or organism. Of course, genetic exchange is something that is also contributing to building a community and also to basically share its characteristics so that the entire population of bacteria has that specialized characteristic, enabling the entire population to survive or sustain under a certain condition. Interestingly, the pili also act as receptors for other molecules. So you may have the pilus being a receptor for a virus. So like a virus can enter the bacteria thanks to binding to the pilus. And through the pilus, the virus is able to inject its genetic material. So it itself acts as a receptor and allows genetic exchange from a virus to itself, or it could be just a naked DNA that is present outside can enter the bacteria through the pilus. So therefore, the pilus per se is also acting as receptor for the bacteria. So these are the major functions that are associated with pili and fimbriae, attributing to why pili and fimbriae are needed by the bacteria. So let us make the conclusions. Pili are thin fibrils, or they can be thick rods, or they can be curly appendages that are present on the surface of both gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria. The pili can be of different types, enabling different functions, with most types having a basic architecture of spanning the outer cell envelope and cell wall. The type 4A pilus specifically has a very powerful motor with a rotor that allows the pilus to extend and retract depending on the direction of the movement of the rotor. Please pardon the spelling mistake. Pili can be conjugative, that is, it can allow exchange of genetic material, or it can be adhesive, that is, allows the bacteria to attach to a surface or to another bacteria, which gives special characteristics to the bacteria, especially to endure different environmental conditions and to empower the bacteria to survive and grow. Thus, pili or fimbriae are organelles of the bacteria that enable sustaining in diverse ecological conditions due to their overall architecture to ensure motility, adhesion, interaction, genetic exchange, and virulence. So, for example, E. coli is able to form what is called or is responsible for urinary tract infection. Why? Because the E. coli, due to the pili and the fimbriae, are able to colonize, form a biofilm on the urinary tract to cause the infection. Likewise, you can also have bacteria colonizing kidney to result into what is called as pyelonephritis. So the virulence attribute is given to a great extent to pili and fimbriae. Thus, one can find different implications associated with the presence of pili on bacteria. Thank you.